Hello everyone and welcome to the All 12 Signs video series for the Leo new moon that's happening on the 16th of August 2023 at 23 minutes and 17 degrees of Leo. I'm not entirely sure how many signs I'm going to read for in this video. Most likely Leo, Cancer and Gemini, hopefully Taurus get 4 in. It all depends how long the readings take, but definitely Leo, Cancer and Gemini in this reading. My name's Chloe. I work with card divination, astrology, and I channel energies through my body. It's just one of the ways that I channel, drawing in energies from different dimensions to help us heal, help clear stuck energy, and open up portals to the cosmos to align us with our soul's journey. Right, well, I've done a collective reading. So do go check that out. That will have already gone up already by the time you're watching this. It was great reading. A lot of energy was coming through, tapping into our heart space with a lot of independent energy, right? Because we've got Uranus here, which is the card. This is the card that I use when I'm bringing in the Uranian energy that's squaring that moon. I do break down the astrology in a lot more detail in that collective reading, so do go check it out. In this, I'm not going to be doing anything in this introduction because I'm just going to get this video out now. Hopefully there'll be 2 more. And in the other introductions, I pulled a lot of oracle cards, which I do with the collective readings, but didn't really get a chance to bring them into the reading. There was a lot more information that wanted to come out, but I'll be doing that in one of the introductions. So do go check out the introductions, even if you're not checking into the signs, to watch those to get a sort of another layer of what's going on with this new moon. I will also be doing a chakra cleansing and balancing with a pendulum in one of the introductions, because Leo rules the spine and Kundalini energy, right? And they're all linking into getting our chakras in line with one another in order so we are in harmony with our heart space, right? The heart is in the middle of our body. It links the lower chakras with the higher chakras, and when we operate from the heart space, we become into alignment, and Leo rules the heart as well as the spine, which is where our Kundalini energy rises up. Okay, right, so in these videos, in these readings, I focus on you, right? You are the most consistent thing in your life, right? Other situations shift and change. I mean, you shift and change as well, but you are the most consistent thing out of an ever-changing universe in your life. So I focus on you. I focus on the inner work. How is this energy showing up for you? What are we transmuting? What are we co-creating with? And the reason why I like to focus on this is because, right, everything exterior there's a lot going on right now, especially in the collective, and also, you know, worrying about what other people are doing or certain situations. When the more that we get in alignment with ourselves, the more that we get in alignment with our soul's frequency, our soul vibration, and that's when we start drawing towards us situations that are more in alignment with that, the good, the bad and the ugly. Sometimes it can mean something coming in that's very explosive, but you're able to handle it, you're able to walk through. And also in these situations, we often find we're able to put into action the inner work that we've been doing. Okay, and so not only are you helping yourself by peeling back the layers, peeling back the trauma responses, the limiting beliefs, holding space for your shadow, holding space for your ego, and finding the utmost compassion and empathy and love for yourself, the good, the bad and the ugly. The more you integrate yourself, you are a multifaceted, multidimensional being. There are many versions of you all in one space. There are many realities going on of you. Yeah, anyway, the more that we open up to that, rather than we are also absolutely everything. We are the all and all the complexity within the all. Okay, so the more that we integrate, the more that we're at peace with these things, rather than rejecting, shaming, abandoning, separating. That's not my personal practice. I'm not a fan of cord cutting. I see energy. This is how do we transmute this energy, how we shift and change, or how do we work together. We're all in this together, and that includes the energy as well. That's just part of my practice, doesn't invalidate yours. But what I try and focus on is integration. Right? The more that we're integrated, the more that we're at peace with things, the less they show up loudly on the main stage in a way that we can't handle. Okay, we can see it out in the world that the unintegrated trauma is very, very, very loud, right? And the more that we do it for ourselves, the more that not only affects us and gives us a state of serenity. It's not about not feeling the emotions. It's not about shaming them and hiding from them. Allow those emotions to flow through you. Let them be seen, but they don't contain the whole of you, right? There's still a part of you that is able to sit back, be the observer, be in a state of meditation, and just be in flow with the universe, the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? The more that we're able to to do that, the more we find calm and inner serenity within ourselves despite the chaos, right? Because of the chaos, right? Not just running away from it and rejecting this 3D reality that, in my opinion, our souls signed up for. So why are we trying to hide from that? Oh my God, this earth is amazing. Feeling and doing and being and eating and all the experiences, all the senses that we have, like, oh, my body's just sort of, whoa. My whole body just sort of very floppy, very relaxed. The more that we enjoy that, as well as bringing in higher level vibrational frequencies of how to engage in this 3D world, the more that we harmonize all the different vibrational frequencies and acknowledge and allow them all to play with one another, the more that we integrate these different dimensions, the less loud certain dynamics need to be. Okay, so you affect yourself, you affect the people around you, you then affect the people you go and meet day to day just because of your frequency and your vibrational energy. Your heart space is so loud, like our heart. Anyway, 3 feet electromagnetic field. So your life force is bigger from your heart than your mind, which is 2 inches, right? Bear that in mind. We're dealing with Leo, rules the heart. Anyway, it's also available to the collective, the more that you do work on yourself. So you're not only helping yourself, you're helping the collective, you're helping the universe. Right? It's not a selfish act to do. This means that with the tarot and the astrology, what comes up, I'm going to be prioritizing how this is showing up for you, not about other people, not about certain situations. If I get strong messages linked into that, I will say them, but I do try and at least focus all of it all on you, right? Because as I said, this is a collective reading, and that collective energy is the most consistent thing. If you wanted a more focused reading, do check out my description box where my email address is. So for example, like court cards can very much be about other people. There are certain cards linked to romance or business, all those things. I would, if you had a question linked into that, that would be one of the interpretations that would come through. Same with astrology. Is my belief that the natal chart is entirely you and also not entirely you. It's about other stuff going on, other people, gets activated at different times, and so that would come up more in a personal reading. Do drop me a line and I will get back to you. I like to tailor to the client and see and work with that as a mutual co-creation. Okay, so what else did I want to say? I work with the whole house system. This is because I follow Greco-Roman traditions from over 2,000 years ago, and there are certain practices, and one of the main ones is the whole house system. I really appreciate the other houses, and I think they all have their benefit, all the other house systems, and they all have their benefit, but the one that shows up most loudly for me is the whole house system, and particularly because it allows the midheaven and the IC to be flexible and not just in the 4th and 10th house, which adds on a layer of complexity to everybody's natal chart, which really emphasizes the fact that we're all very, very different. So the words today, lots of them. The moon is trining where the sun and the moon are going to be for this new moon on this day of recording. So there's a lot of in Gemini. So there's a lot of speed going on. I mean, I speak fast anyway, but I watch videos on like 1.25 or 1.5. So it's just my vibe. What was I going to say? Whole house system. So really recommend, if you know your time of birth, go and look to what's in the first house and read that one first. So whatever sign is in the first house, read that sign first. This is a very pivotal house, and so all the astrology is going to be linked into the signs being in the first house. This doesn't invalidate looking at any other part of your chart or any other sign, particularly your sun or your moon in this case, because we are dealing with a lunation, and Leo is ruled by the sun, so the sun has also got a double weight of what's going on and how that's showing up for you, where your sun is in your natal chart. Look to whatever sign you're looking into, look to where it falls in your chart, the house that it's in, the themes of that house, and apply those themes to the messages that come through. It's as if that sign has now moved to the first house, but with all of the themes that it holds in your natal chart. So that's going to add on a layer. Sometimes it's really good, sun, moon, rising, Mercury, Venus, whatever it is that you want to look at. It just gives you an understanding of what's showing up for either that planet, that sign, the themes, and just, it's affecting, all of these things affect every area of our chart. It's a very nuanced and complex thing, but I love it. But it's also can be very, very loud in certain areas of your life as well. What else did I want to say? I think that's everything. Not too bad, 9 minutes. Is there anything else? Yeah, there's lots of other transit series that are out at the moment. Just finished the Mercury retrograde ones. That was fab. Done the nodal series, the Venus transit as well, because she's retrograde. She'll be past the midpoint of the retrograde at the time of this new moon. So it might be helpful to sort of go and check that one out and see what Venus is doing, because this is still playing a very important role in the whole of the summer, if you haven't seen them. But I think that's everything that I wanted to say. I will be beginning with Leo and working my way through Cancer and then Gemini. Be good to yourselves, be good to those around you, and most importantly, be well until we meet again. Leo rising. How you doing, Leo? For those of you just tapping into the Leo energy and it's not in your first house, look to the house that it is in your chart, if you do know your time of birth, and look to the themes of that house that it's in and apply those themes to the messages that come through. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Well, Leo, you've got this new moon, the first lunation in Leo without Saturn in Aquarius. Woohoo! Party time. Yeah, the energy's been pretty wild in the lead up to this. We're in the balsamic phase, so we're clearing out a lot of stuff in order to start a new beginning. Right, I'm going to be pulling cards for 3 different piles. The first pile is everything, right, that we've been working through since that full moon. Now we're clearing that out with the balsamic phase, and transmuting that energy. The second pile is going to be for the new moon itself, and what's showing up, what energy is coming through for you. And then the third pile is how this energy is all going to manifest moving forward, because then we'll be headed to the next 6-month part of the cycle, to the full moon next year in Leo during Aquarius season. Well, Leo, you've got a lot going on, right? So the sun's here. Venus is here. Venus is doing a retrograde. For those of you who have not seen that series, there's playlists. They're very easily accessible. I really do recommend checking them out. In each introduction, I add on different layers, because this Venus retrograde is instigating a whole new 8-year cycle for you, right? After the end of the retrograde, you know, things are going to shift and change. And I love that this new moon is happening a couple of days after the midpoint of this retrograde. So I talked about this in the collective reading, because we're going to have the cazimi with Venus and the sun. And this means the sun and Venus are going to conjunct one another, which is what happens with every new moon, right? When the moon and the sun come into conjunction. And it tends to be like the celestial body kind of gets burnt up and transformed by the sun's energy. And with this Venus energy, she's been an evening star, which means she's been rising in the evening, and so it's more looking to the past, because she's following the sun after the day, and it's sort of and also looking back into the night and back into what has come before. Very sort of nourishing energy. It's more introverted in terms of like being observational, bringing in the context, the nuance. Things may have been coming up from your past, different, you know, think you've been working through a lot since the retrograde phase, and revisiting and going over details. And now we're going to have the midpoint of the cazimi. It's on the Sunday, and this moon is on a Wednesday. That she's moving into a morning star. So very quickly after this, after the cazimi, we then get the new moon where Venus is a morning star. This means she rises in the morning before the sun does, right? She's coming ahead of the sun, ahead of the vision. So it's more forward momentum, still the retrograde, but we've got all the depth and knowledge of a retrograde, but with a forward momentum of where are we headed with this new understanding of how we operate from the heart, from a place of love, right? Very independent energy, retrograde energy, trying to work out and break out old cycles. So I really like that we've still got this momentum going on with this new moon, because this moon is marking a new engagement with the heart space. How do we feel good about this world? How do we feel good, and how do we express ourselves with confidence, okay, from that heart space? It's not all about being sweetness and light all the time. Sometimes, you know, being real with somebody, being real with yourself is the deepest level of love you can give. It's not about being rude. It's not about being selfish. It's just being like, hey, let's add some wisdom and some integrity to this. You know, we've gone through that process with that Saturn opposition to Leo for the last 2.5 years that was really helping bring that integrity into the heart space in the way that we operate. We don't quite have the same weight and restriction as we have done in the past now that Saturn's moved, but it's certainly helped add on a new layer in the way that we move with our heart, like thinking long term in like our and how we take care of our heart, and how we take care of the light that is within us, and making sure that that doesn't get snuffed out, that we don't need to hide from ourselves and hide that light from others, because it is part of who they are as well, even if they might respond to it in a way that they feel like they are covered in shadows. Okay. Oh, they're just doing some energy work. My toes are wiggling. Okay, so this new moon is really very electric, because it's squaring Uranus, and Uranus is incredibly independent energy. It thinks outside of social constructs. It likes to go against the grain. It likes to break the cycles. And it likes to clear paths that you may have struggled from opening up, in order to set your soul free, okay? In order for you to be confident being you and not seeking the outside world's attention, not seeking approval or validation from anything other than your source within you, that sun in your heart, right? That can be a really difficult thing to do with Leo energy, because it can want to be seen, and if it isn't seen, it can take it really personally, right? And I do feel like we're clearing out a lot of that, what we've been working through since that full moon at the beginning of the year. We've been integrating that sense of completion of that cycle, and now we're now realizing, okay, what's working, what's not, what are we taking forward? So let me, okay. Let's move this down a bit. So for Leo rising, wherever this is happening in your chart, this is a big deal, because it is bringing in the Venus retrograde, and it is the sun and the moon, and the sun is in its own sign. So it's a very, very powerful new moon. It's not being governed by anybody else, because whatever's going on with the ruler of a sign is affecting the signs that it rules. And so the sun is in its own sign. It's very powerful. It knows what it's doing. It's got all the tools that it needs in order to shine brightly. And it's governing the moon, so it's really saying, hey, I'm bringing clarity to the unconscious space of where those needs haven't been met, certainly in the lead up to the new moon, in order to give you kind of clues and understanding of like what the new dynamic you want to walk into looks like. Yeah, super powerful. And it's no longer linked into the eclipses, so it's very independent energy here, because before we had the nodes in Taurus and Scorpio, which meant we've got more agency with this moon, because with eclipse energies, with the moons that square eclipses, they're very much linked into the eclipse cycle. And so often with eclipse energy, it's very big energy that's often sort of way out of our conscious mind of how we're manifesting. It all depends on your chart, like depends how you work with it. But just in general, it's sort of bigger, longer term cycles, whereas this one, it really is sort of integrating in the immediate. Oh, they're just hitting my third eye now over my heart chakra. They've been very insistent on doing energy work quite a lot, so do bear with me with the tarot that needs to come out. Right, what else did I want to say? Leo rising, hi. So you got this in your first house. This is an angular house, so the angular houses are 1st, 4th, 7th and 10th. These are the pivot points of your chart. They create the foundations of the rest of the chart. And so when we have transits here, they are very key transits for the cycle of the year, and you have this in your first house, which is your house, the house of self. So this is how you embody your sun or your moon in your actions and your deeds, depending on if you've got a day or a night chart. This is your body, your vitality, your appearance, your character. It's often how other people see you, because they see the lens in which you express your sun or your moon, right? They see the exterior rather than the internal workings, depending on how close the relationship is. So you've got a retrograde in your first house, so a big revamp in sorry, just going to have to pause and hydrate because I can feel like my throat is about to go. Sorry about that, Leo. Yeah, so you've got this in the first house. You've got a Venus retrograde in your first house, so a revamp of you, an understanding of your character, perhaps developing a bit more independence in the way that you express yourself, a sense of a value and appreciation for you and who you are and how you embody yourself. I mean, across the board, all of the transits lately, could just be how I read them, but they're just screaming at me of like, everyone needs to get more confident, not cocky, right? Everyone needs to get more wise, not inflated. There's a real sense of bringing wisdom into the individual. And with this Venus retrograde on top of it, all of it, it's just like, whoa, okay, universe, cool story. This is taking us a while to integrate, though. It's taking practice and like really like testing these waters and making sure we're building strong foundations. Okay, I need to rein in the channeling and get the cards out, don't I? They're very, it's Venus's day, so there's a lot of there's a lot of stimulation going on right now, because she is, let me just get the chart up. So it's Friday. So Friday is Venus's day. It's probably why I'm talking about the Venus retrograde so much. Yeah, she's still in a square with Uranus right now. And the midheaven is currently in the sign of Leo. So no wonder they're like, we need to get the energies out. Okay. Aye. What was I saying? What was I even talking about? Right, Venus retrograde in your sign, big deal, right? Big deal in fixed energy anyway, because like Venus, the retrogrades are a chance to break out of cycles, and break out of that which has been fixed, right? And whatever you're instigating is going to last for the next 8 years. Not in like a super fixed way, but just sort of acknowledging a new dynamic that's coming in a fixed energy that can be quite stubborn to change. So big revamp in your sense of value. And at the same time, we've got this new moon. Hello. And so this, as I said, the first one since Saturn's left Aquarius. So there's a sense of liberation, a sense of really being able to focus on the... Love this deck, very slippy, which is great because it means it will last for ages, because the last deck that I was using didn't have any coating and it completely faded away. Got 2 6s, lots of protection coming in for you, Leo. And so we've got this new moon, and this is instigating a new energy after that Saturn transit. So for those of you regulars who watched the Aquarius full moon one, that was the first one without Saturn, and that very much felt like an integration of everything that we've been learning over the last 2.5 years with Saturn in Aquarius. And so for Leo risings, that was over in your 7th house, of intimate relationships. So you might have been doing a lot of work about understanding who you are in relation to one-to-one relationships. And now this is all sort of culminating and starting afresh after everything that you've learned. So, new moon in your sign, revamp, intentions, what feels right for you. But as I said, this is linked into how you embody yourself. It's your house. It's the house of you, house of self. It's a very pivotal point. And so really sitting with and being mindful of who you are and how you want to be, right? And just spending time over the next couple of days, depending on when you're watching this, letting go and moving through and transmuting energy and trying out different situations, trying out different ways of thinking and being and operating in the world. And then with the new moon, it's like, okay, well, how do I want to instigate this? How am I bringing this into reality? with Leo energy, I always say shine that light within. Make sure that you are in alignment from a very healthy, real place of acknowledging your own inner light, acknowledging your own inner divinity and sovereignty. And when we do that, then we're able to move through the world with more ease and more grace, right? And it's not necessarily about seeking that from other people. It's about that focus on you. That's not a selfish thing to do. It is in order for you to work with healthy relationships and make healthy boundaries, because you are confident in what it is that you need. This isn't about isolating people and separating. This is an acknowledgement of your place in the universe. So this is squaring Uranus up in Taurus, which is which squares Leo energy, regardless of whether it's your rising sign or not. So squares are an aspect of Mars. This can bring about conflict, drama, and frustration. And because Uranus is very independent energy, there's lots of different frequencies tapping around of how do we be independent in a social dynamic, right? How does that feel? How does that work? How are we able to express ourselves confidently without stepping on other people's toes, but we're also be able to bring in new perspectives and new dynamics? And it's in Taurus, which for you is in your 10th house. Sorry, I forgot to say, so I had to pause again. I've just got a tiny little tickle in my throat today. That squares are also beyond the conflict, drama, frustration, winning at all costs, right? So two independent people are like, I'm independent and this is what I think, and the other one's like, so am I, and therefore you're wrong. It's the you're wrong part that doesn't work, right? Okay, so allowing other people to be independent as well as yourself. But the other side of it, sorry, they're just sort of really tapping very hard on the heart chakra. The other side of a square is friction, because without friction, we wouldn't be able to create in this 3D linear time frame. It's big manifestation energy. Yes, it's a hard aspect, which shows up quite loudly. We're dealing with a hard aspect of the conjunction in your sun, in your sign. So like instigating a new cycle. That this square is also able to bring into manifestation, right? So you've got Taurus, Leo risings, you've got Taurus up in your 10th house of life purpose, right? So this can be very much linked into career, but it could also be other things. It's your North Pole, it's your guiding star, it's that thing that magnetizes and pulls you forward. It is the most visible part of your chart where the sun is on the day of your birth, right? So this is, there's a lot of clarity and vision direction with the 10th house. It can sometimes not be accessible to us, but it's still there. It's like that magnetic pull, as I said, that you might not even be consciously aware of it, but it's still being manifest. And it's also reputation. It's how the big outside world sees you. It can be linked into bosses as well. If you are in employment and you have a boss, this can very much be linked into bosses. So with the Uranian energy up in the 10th house, Uranus has been there for a while now. Really, really calling you to be confident being yourself. Speaking of Taurus, be confident being yourself. In finding and elevating and drawing towards you your life purpose and your embodiment of it. Remember, this square is on a new moon, so it's feeding this new moon with the energy of creation, with the energy of manifestation from Uranus, who is the oddball of the universe. It's the maverick. It's the ability to think deeply and differently to that which is normal, right? Its North Pole points towards the sun, unlike any other planet, which means its guiding force is the sun. And so this is like, even if it can be disruptive and a bit chaotic, it flips things on its head. But the more that you get an alignment with your soul's frequency and your ability to feel confident and comfortable expressing yourself, the less like Uranus can blow up in your face, right? I call it the path clearer, the breaker of chains. And in order to liberate us and set us free, there is this deep sense of freedom and rebellion that can come with Uranus, because in order to, bear in mind, rebellion can mean lots of different things. It doesn't have to be a simple thing of just making a stand, whatever that looks like, against the norm. We've also got, so that's over in your 10th house of like bringing into manifestation this unique expression of your life purpose. Like this is what's being instigated for the next 6 months. And yeah, so very powerful. We've also got Black Moon Lilith conjunct the sun and the moon, and again she's incredibly independent. No. She's incredibly that was a Hanged Man. We'll see if that wants to come out again. She's incredibly independent in her energy. She doesn't like hierarchies or hypocrisy. She doesn't like being told she can't do something if for no good reason, and will question that, right? So we've got very, very independent energy that's trying to break us free from a lot of constructs that society thinks that we need, but actually is hindering us. And it's more sort of mollycoddling and diminishing our own agency. Oh, they like that one. Diminishing our own agency and our own authenticity. And Leo's very much about authenticity. They're just doing work over the heart chakra. So incredible independent energy coming through of you finding your own true heart expression. And I really like Venus being retrograde at the time of this because she's a morning star, but with the retrograde, it's very much about being able to find the nuances and finding the depth of your value and your love for yourself, right? And really getting into the like finding all the different parts of you and finding love for that. Right. What else did I want to say? We also have Venus is trine Chiron, which is helping us clear a lot of big wounds around expression of self and how you see yourself in the world, because that's over up in your 9th house of your connection to your morals, your ethics, your philosophies, your principles. It's also linked into book religion, spirituality, science, nature, anything that's bigger than you, that you are aware that you're a part of, that we're questioning and we're evolving and we're connecting to. So it's all about perspectives, the 9th house. And I feel this trine with Venus, at this retrograde at the beginning of this new moon, is feeding the energy of changing perspectives that are distorted. And finding the wisdom in whatever wounds you may still have. You know, Chiron's going to be there for a while. And so we're working through them, especially with the nodes as well. That's really boosting that energy. We also have Juno. So we've got Black Moon Lilith, which is an asteroid, and Juno. They are both in Leo. And Juno represents commitment, your ride or die. Okay, so admittedly, it's my opinion that with every relationship, you need to commit every day, right? You have to acknowledge the fact that there is such a thing as change, and that helping you not take people for granted, that you have to commit every day to a situation. And Juno's all about commitment. So we've got Juno right at the beginning of Leo at 0 degrees, being influenced by what's going on with this new moon. So her striving for commitment is now in alignment with our heart space, and our commitment to being able to be confident, Black Moon Lilith shining our light. The moon and the sun are also making aspects to the north and south nodes. So I already talked about that Aries energy over in your 9th house. And now the moon and the sun are trine that north node of where you're headed. Trines are an aspect of wisdom, providing elevation, expansion, understanding, cohesion, a sense of knowing, right? And so we've got a sense of knowing being fed into the new moon from the north node, of how do we expand into our individual experience of self, right? Independent energy, Aries, and be confident being able to go our own way and explore that without fear of needing a lot of support. It's not that we're not supported, we're always supported by spirit, but about being able to go into new environments based off of this new intention, whether it's conscious or not, to operate from the heart space that is valuing you. as well as the other people around you, but so often we diminish that. We've also got a sextile with the South Node, and a sextile is an aspect of Venus bringing creativity, harmony, connection, and so there's this element in your third house of your how you communicate and your local environment and the things that you do on a day-to-day basis, that we're finding creative ways of engaging on a day-to-day basis with this new development, with this refinement that we've got with the South Node, with the sun and the moon, of like, what are we instigating here, what new dynamic are we bringing into reality that is finding this way of being in harmony with our new understanding of how we want to engage socially, right? So Libra can, there's a stereotype of being a bit of a people pleaser, and that is very valid, right? And it's wonderful to please people, there's nothing wrong with that. But when, like with all signs and all planets, they've all got extremes, like everything in moderation, including moderation, and we always need to check those extremes and make sure that we're able to be more in flow and be able to adapt. And so that Libra energy, like, as long as you're not prioritizing everybody else and then forgetting that you even exist, is not the one, or not prioritizing your needs on the same level as other people. And I'm really getting that with this new moon, because Lilith is involved as well. Like, she wants an open, respectful conversation. She wants to be treated like an equal. And if she's not, she's leaving, right? She's gone. That's not me saying like banishing all relationships where they don't show up like that, but certainly navigating them and elevating them as a new way of moving into the world in the way that you embody yourself, right? The way that you show through your actions and your deeds. It's not all about words, but it's often about how we move through the world. And you're really getting a beautiful boost from the cosmos that has helped cracking open this any blockages that may have stopped you from being very confident in being able to express yourself as an individual in the collective. And it's a really beautiful thing to see. Really beautiful. Okay, look to where your sun is and your moon, but particularly your sun, because Leo is ruled by the sun. And so wherever the sun is in your chart, the sign that it's in, the energy of that sign, as well as the themes around that themes of the house that it's in are going to play a role and show up for you in this moon, because whenever we have new moons, the sun is involved, and so therefore it's always activating the sign that it's in your chart. So that's going to add on a little personal clue about what's showing up for you for this new moon. And so, yeah, that can help you make it a little bit more integrated with this general reading and turn it a little bit more personal. Okay, is there anything else I want to say? I mean, there's loads more, but it's all in the collective reading. I'm just trying to pick out the things that are, I mean, I like all the aspects, but I appreciate the length of time that can take. So we've got a really lovely aspect with Vesta, and Vesta is over in Gemini, and she's about devotion and tending to your inner flame of wherever she is in your chart. And she's in Gemini, which is your 11th house of hopes and dreams, friends, groups and alliances, as well as reaping the benefits from your career, from your 10th house. And so Vesta is bringing in very creative energy with this new moon of tending to your hopes and your dreams in this new way of embodying self. There's also a lot going on in Virgo at the moment. Mars and Mercury are there, as well as Pallas Athena, another asteroid which represents strategy and logic. Mercury's heading towards its retrograde, which will happen a week later on the 23rd of August. And Mars is still there. So there's a lot of activity going on in your first and second houses in terms of the personal planets, which are the Sun, Moon, Venus, Mars, and Mercury. And your second house is how you value yourself. Okay, this is the things that you care about. These are the tools that you have in order to make your money as well as manifest in the world. So you've got a lot of momentum going on here. Not only have you got a retrograde in the first, but a retrograde in the second. And so we're getting a lot of support with this earth energy for this new moon, linked into around your value system. The more that you value yourself, the more that your skills that you have, the resources that you have blossom in the world. And then therefore, the more that you're able to manifest, because you truly know you are part of the cosmos, right? And so this retrograde is going to be reassessing and reevaluating and regenerating your skill set. Mars is, so not only is the sun and the moon square Uranus, but Mars is trine Uranus as well, so both in earth signs, so they've got something in common, bringing elevation and wisdom, a sense of cohesion and expansion, and through that wisdom there's a sense of opportunities and luck coming in, as well as abundance, right? Mars is incredibly independent. Mars wants to go off and do its own thing, right? Mars is our motivation, our drives, our passions. Always give Mars a job to do. It's always my recommendation with Mars is give Mars a job to do. And so Mars is talking to Uranus and saying, okay, right, I like your higher mind understanding of confidence and individuality, but let's put this into practice. Let's integrate this. Right, Virgo wants to streamline and facilitate in this 3D existence. And Taurus wants you to be confident being in yourself and be practical in the way that you express that. And so we've this, the sense is that pleasure principle, and how does that pleasure principle, that's independent to you, become manifest in the way that you express your, like the facilitation of that Virgo energy in the 3D world, in the skills that you have, right, and how you value yourself. So a real grounded, committed transformation of independent energy and acknowledgement of self is being instigated at this new moon. We're not going to have another Mars trine with Uranus until January next year. So there's a little while before that happens, because obviously Mars is one of the slowest moving personal planet. Yeah, so just very confident energy, very confident energy. I do really like the mix of the fire and the earth with this one. We've also got air throwing around as well, but there's some other stuff going on with the outer planets, with Pluto and Neptune, but that is more, I mean, that's floating around, but it's forming a ground earth trine. But I would look to the Mercury retrograde series to sort of understand what that ground earth trine is doing, because it's definitely very much linked into that, more than I would say this new moon. It's still going on, it's still having an impact, but it's not quite the same vibe. Okay, that's everything I think I wanted to say, because I am trying to keep these ones short. We're now up to half an hour. So let's, okay, let me put the deck down. This is when I'm going to go quiet, because you've had the yang day side of it, side of the reading, where it's more action, 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 go, 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 stimulation, lots of information. Let that all settle, soften your mind. This is now the yin night side of it. So we've had our day action, now we're having the rest night, and let it all settle. See what intuitive hits are coming up for you about this new moon that you might have already been working with. I'm going to go quiet, because they're going to want to do some energy work, and they're also going to want to move the cards around into the 3 piles. When they do that, I have to soften my mind as well, and I have to let the channeling come through. So it's difficult for me to channel, think and talk at the same time in this current present moment. And so, I will come back around and it'll incorporate the tarot after they have finished doing what they need to do. Okay, Leo. So for the lead up, so this is kind of like from the full moon that we had at the beginning of February this year. 6 months have passed, and sort of there may be some reoccurring themes that have been coming up around this balsamic phase in the lead up to this new moon. We've got the Death card. We've got the Six of Pentacles with the Ace of Swords. So a real acknowledgement of letting go of things that have authority over you. So I always like to point out the fact that the monarch is no more, right? So that which has had an authority that may not have actually been supporting you, you've been working through and acknowledging what needs to be let go of, while understanding how, where you want to be headed in terms of the light that is blooming within you, right? So this, it can be quite this journey with the Death card. It's deeply transformational, but it can also bring up difficulties and being able to work through it. But I'm getting with the Six of Pentacles that you've had a lot of support, whether that's energetic or actual support in you understanding who you are and what value you have to offer, right? So this is the card that follows sorry if I'm shaking, but they're doing work on the heart chakra. This follows the Five of Pentacles, where you feel left out in the cold and not supported, that something's been going on in the last 6 months where the energies have been saying, no, we've got you, I'm giving you the resources you need in order to start your own life and like be able to be confident being yourself, rather than feeling from that space of lack, right? So it's the bridge between the 5 and the 7. The 7 is about tending to something new and beginning a whole new life cycle again in the 3D realm. We've got it with the Ace of Swords. I really feel that you being able to see the truth very clearly and understanding what it is that how your truth is embodied within you, and finding a real strength and a higher perspective. You see the mountain ranges in the background, they represent a higher perspective of finding that clarity, of being able to feel through this release, this transformational energy and the supportive energy that's been coming up, of being able to see things clearly, and what was the other phrase I was going to say? There's a renewal in the way that you understand the constructs of how you embody yourself. Perhaps there's some things and ideas that may have been blocking your true understanding of your soul's part in this universe, and that definitely feels like there's a regeneration and a refreshment with that death, the support, and then aces are kind of like, yes, you're starting something new. You're understanding. There's a very powerful amplification of the sword, of the air element. So the ability to think in a different way, right? Think outside of scarcity. So the moon itself, we've got another 6. So 6 is a very protective energy. You see here, this energy is giving to the other, and this is guiding these figures to new lands. So we've got the 6 Pentacles, we've got the 6 of Swords, and the 6 of Swords is coming with the King of Swords and the Knight of Cups, right? So this is this is acknowledging this transformational journey that you've been on, right? Because this is saying you're moving to new pastures, taking what truly matters with you. Okay, so another word for this card is science, and that is because you're taking with you to this new land that which has been tried and tested, that which you have an understanding and a clarity about what is reality, like what works for you, who are you, right? The constructs and ideas of who you are, and now how you embody them. And this, you see on this card, there's choppy water here and there's calm water to the other side. So this new moon is saying, okay, you've done the work, you've been putting in the work, and now you're heading into a new dimension. Oh, big energetic release with that one, where things are calmer, right? Rather than the conflict energy for all fixed signs the last couple of years has pretty much been this sort of choppy waters of like thing after thing after thing after thing after thing after thing, right? And now there's an ease, there's a let up, there's through all of that, you have learned so much about yourself. You know what hasn't been working. You're able to see clearly and observe how you embody yourself. You're able to observe your character and be like, okay, what are the fundamentals? When the dust settles, what pulls you forward? For some of you, with this new moon energy, this could mean you're going on a trip around the new moon. But just generally, energetically, it is about moving from one headspace to another. We've got this with the King of Swords and the Knight of Cups. So the King of Swords, right, you've got the Ace of Swords of what you've been building up, this replenishment, this sort of focal point, and now the King of Swords is like putting that into action, right? So this clarity and this vision of facts are facts, you acknowledging that and being able to act upon it, and not right, everyone's reality is subjective, but there are some key themes and ideas and things where it's like, well, this is close to the objective idea as possible, and being able to embody that, I think, is incredibly powerful, because this kind of represents the energy of what I was trying to talk about in the collective reading about love, right? Love isn't all the Knight of Cups, but I love that the Knight of Cups has shown up with the King of Swords. Love isn't all, oh, everything's fine, everything's great, making everything lovely, and hiding all of the ugliness. Or no, not the ugliness, that's too strong a word. Hiding all of the uncomfortable energy, right? That's not what love's about. Love is about being able to be real and speak from the heart with clarity, with truth. This is the Aquarian energy. It's acknowledging there's a balance between that Aquarius and Leo energy that you've really been working on. I'm not surprised. As I said, this is kind of like that Aquarius full moon. It is kind of summing up that opposition that Leo has had for the last 2.5 years with Saturn, that's really wanting you to walk with integrity, right? So this is able to, from a heart space, be able to be clear in your intentions and take action on that. With the Knight of Cups, I mean, this is the best combination to have when we're dealing with the heart, when we're dealing with Leo. The Knight of Cups is romantic, right? So this isn't just about romantic relationships, but it's very much this sort of more soft, more easy, free-flowing energy of falling in love with the actions that you take in the world that you're in. Right, like absolutely. I remember I saw this meme the other day, and it was about the Addams family, about how it's something about Gomez and the fact that he was fully committed in love with Morticia, right? And that's how he was able to be in that relationship. And then the comment underneath was something, no, he was in love with absolutely every part of his existence and every part of his life around him, and he was able to embody it in his actions, right? And through that sense of truly understanding that the universe is your beloved and you are the beloved, right? And everything that happens around us, we're able to be in that state of union and the state of love at all times. That this is kind of that combination of not being delusional in a way that is going to get you into difficulty, but still having a big enough heart with this realness to be able to embody that, the love, the emotions, the connection with your heart space, with a sense of clarity and independence. Like I've been looking after my friend's kid for a while, and haven't done for the last couple of months, but kids really like being told what's going on. Kids like clarity, then they don't lose their mind. They don't like being lied to, they don't like being manipulated, and that can be in various different levels. We don't either, but we're taught that by our parents and by society, that by sort of softening the blow or narrating something in a way that may favor you or whatever it is, like there's ways of being able to speak the truth from love. And that's what this combination of cards really means for me. That's what's showing up, that this is how you're embodying yourself from a really beautiful place. I love it. Okay, so we've got for how this energy is manifesting moving forward. We have the Hierophant, the Knight of Pentacles, the Page of Pentacles, and the Ten of Pentacles. This is all big earth energy. So what I'm thinking, this is Uranus up in Taurus. Okay, this is the Taurus card of saying, yeah, this is what's being instilled, but here I am coming in and helping you be able to follow your life purpose, right, from a very unique space because of this energy, this embodiment of this love and this clarity combined, right? The truth and love can coexist. That you're able to bring such deep comfort into your 3D world. You're really able to then manifest that moving forward of whatever it is, maybe elevating your career, figuring out who you are in the world and what really gives you pleasure, right? The Hierophant, this is wisdom, right? This is being your own guru, right? And through this embodiment of being your own guru, you're able to then take action and bring in new opportunities that is getting you to your legacy, right? Of getting this embodiment of self to fulfill your life purpose. Whoa, big energetic one with that. So the Knight of Pentacles, very committed earth energy, very loyal. The Page of Pentacles, I love the Knight and the Page combined because they're very sort of youthful energy with the Hierophant that can be a bit serious, right? Bit sort of grown up and serious, but that wisdom element with this ability to embody it and communicate it and just express it. And as I said, opportunities may be coming up in regards to your career because that is Taurus, that is earth energy, that is squaring this, so that through this true acknowledgement and expression of self, you are drawing towards you a different frequency in the 3D realm. And that's the Page, heralding in a new frequency. And with the Ten of Pentacles, this is long-term legacy energy, right? So you see here, this is in a town, you've got a family, they're in sort of very monochrome colors compared to the elder who's in sort of more esoteric symbolism. And this really represents bringing in the 3D with the 5D, bringing in the magical with the mundane in order to create civilization. So this is saying what's being instigated here is helping you get to this point of establishing whatever it means for you of the long-term plan on the 3D plane, of how the actions and the embodiment is taking you to that place, whether you know it or not, whether you can see the plan or not. It's certainly instigating a whole new cycle where you are moving with more flow in order to achieve not just the joy of the moment, which is the Page of Pentacles, also the commitment and loyalty of through your actions, but through that is really helping bring in integration in the 3D realm and bringing things into fruition and into manifestation. That was a really interesting reading, actually, Leo. I've not had one quite, don't know what it is about it, but that felt different. Okay, now I'm going to pull, I don't usually do this deck first, but I picked it up. I'm going to pull some clarification cards. This is the First Light Tarot. All the decks are in the description box. Who may I help? Interesting. Haha. So they put the Leo crystal on it. You help yourself. This energy is helping you. And I don't mean that in a selfish way. It's not about not helping others. It's the universe is coming in to help. Because I'm just thinking of that 6, which is very, as I said, very protected energy, implying that there are always external forces going on, but sometimes it's a little louder. We've got harmony, bridges, joy, bringing in bridges to all the different versions of your, I talked about in the introduction to the collective reading, I broke down, that was the High Priestess. We'll see if she wants to come out again. I broke down all the new moons since the Aries hybrid eclipse and how this is our soul multiple life soul interaction operating from our heart space. And so whenever we get the bridges the Bridges card come up. It is acknowledging all the connections that you've had throughout the universe, interacting with one another, and being in a state of harmony. We've got the Star card. So this is the Aquarius card again. So we've got quite big Aquarius energy coming in. This is potential success, happy endings, promising beginnings, but like really acknowledging through that deep healing. The Star card was also one of the cards in the collective reading. Through everything that you've gone through with that Saturn opposition, of being able to find a little more lightness and a little more be able to see your light, because Saturn can often dim, particularly if you've got the sun in Leo or the moon. Like when Saturn's opposing the luminaries, it can feel like you're a bit invisible. And this is really saying that there's a shift happening. You've also got Aquarius over in the 7th house. So for some of you, this could be work related in terms of business partners, one-to-one clients, as well as intimate friends and intimate long-term relationships, right? So really being able to bring in a new way of engaging with these that is allowing your star energy to shine. Okay, let's pull one final card from the numerology deck. We've got new beginning and physical activity. So for some of you, let's just this new beginning of being able to implement that in your physical being and your actions. Some of you, it is about the body. It could be about a new connection with taking care of your body, your understanding of who you are in the physical plane. Or just lots of opportunities and situations happening where you're able to embody this new experience in the physical world. Right, I'm going to leave it at that, Leo. I really hope you enjoyed that. That was an interesting reading, interesting energy. There's a seriousness to it as well, which I really appreciate. Yeah, like it's a nice combination with the sort of the sort of the more joy creative side of the Leo energy, which is definitely still there, but there is an element of dedication that's coming in, and commitment, which I really like. Okay, Leo, be good to yourselves, be good to those around you, and most importantly, be well until we meet again. Cancer rising. How you doing, Cancer? For those of you just tapping into the Cancer energy and it doesn't fall in your first house, look to the house that it does fall in, the themes of that house, and apply those themes to the messages that come through. It's as if that Cancer energy has now, sorry, I do have a bit of a tickle today, has now moved to the first house, but with all of the themes from your natal chart. Well, okay, regardless of whether Cancer is your rising sign or not, Leo and Cancer are next door to one another. This is what's called inverted. So traditionally they don't have anything in common with one another. The three main aspects: Leo is fire, fixed in nature, and yang day in nature. Cancer is water, it's cardinal, and it's yin, night in nature. So imagine. So there's a sort of an element of not really having common ground, but imagine two people are sitting next to each other, right? You can't, but they're both facing forward. They can't see one another, so there isn't that sense of clarity, that sense of understanding through a clear line of sight. But there is a lot going on in the subtle energetic field, and this isn't a lesser version of the energy, right? So imagine you're sitting next to someone. You can sense that they're there. There's a lot more going on under the surface, a lot more other senses that are being used that aren't necessarily straightforward with that sort of conscious, clear looking at something, right? So there's a lot of osmosis going on, of energy transfer on the atomic level. So it's all happening in a way that is integrating on a deeper level. Okay, so Cancer rising though, you have this energy in your second house. This is the house of your resources. This is how you value yourself, most importantly. This is how things that you value, as well as the resources and tools that you have in order to make your money and manifest in the world. And so there's a Venus retrograde that's been going on there for a while now. Do go check out the Venus retrograde series. There's playlists, so they're all really easy to find, because that's going to give you an understanding of what this new moon is helping bring into being. Because Venus retrogrades the least out of all of the planets. And so when she does have, oh, I forgot to bring that down. When she does, she has a lot more weight to it. She's instigating a whole new 8-year cycle from 2015. We're closing up and tying up what was no longer working and transmuting that energy into another cycle. So I do recommend you check that one out as well, because that is going to be playing a role in this lunation. This is the first lunation that we're having in the sign of Leo, with Saturn not being in Aquarius. So this is a big sigh of relief for everybody, because Saturn being in its own sign had a lot of weight, a lot of heaviness. There's also lots of benefits and boons, but I think we all collectively felt that was a bit of a tough ride. And now we have a lunation in the sign of the Sun, you know, Leo, very creative, very playful energy, without Saturn opposing it. So it's kind of wrapping up. If for those of you who are regulars, you know I talked about this in the Aquarius full moon, because that was the first lunation in Aquarius without Saturn. But that really felt like a summing up of everything that we've been not only doing since the full moon of that sign, but also the last 2.5 years of Saturn moving in opposition of it, right? So it's got, this is like there's a freshness here with this new moon. It's also not linked into the eclipses in a square aspect, because we had eclipses in Taurus and Scorpio, which are also fixed energy, which was squaring which was squaring the Leo energy. So now we've got the nodes in air and fire, which are trining and sextiling the energy. So it's a bit less of the heavy disruption energy that we may have faced over the last couple of years in that sign. So lovely moon, but it is well, there's other stuff going on. I've done a collective reading, so I do really recommend checking that out, where I break down the astrology and the messages that are coming through for us collectively in relation to this Leo new moon. But now you've got this new moon. So this is so look back to the 5th of February. That's when we had the full moon in Leo. And so we're completing this cycle of everything the culmination, everything that we learned, what's been made very visible around the full moon. We've been integrating that over the last 6 months. And now this is we're starting a fresh new cycle after everything that we have learned, right? So we're currently in the balsamic phase. It all depends on when you're watching this. And the balsamic phase is a few days. So it's Friday today. We're still in the waning crescent phase of this is when the moon is its darkest. So a lot may be cropping up in the lead up to this new moon that might be a bit explosive and revealing things from the shadow of that which you need to transmute and let go of. So bear that in mind, that it is potentially quite disruptive, because we have a square with Uranus over in Taurus, and Uranus can be very can be disruptive, to say the least. It's also a phenomenal planet. It's not me disregarding it, but there are many different vibrational frequencies in which this moon shows up. So now we're instigating this new cycle. Now we're instigating a new cycle, as I said, with everything that you've learned, of your sense of value as well, and like really focusing on that, of making sure that you're in alignment with your value from a very real, empathetic and loving space, right? So the reason why I focus on that part of the house is because all of those other things kind of fall into line when we get into alignment with understanding you have a part to play in the universe, and you are a phenomenal person. You are an embodiment of the universe and that creator energy, right? That very creative love energy that we are being held by, and sometimes, so often, that is distorted, and we find it difficult to attach ourselves to that, and it means we don't necessarily value and appreciate and be able to amplify the skills that we have in order to manifest in the world. It may distort the things that we value, and moving to another sense of prioritization, and that all comes from you truly loving yourself in a very deep, real way. So This new moon, great time for setting new intentions. See what's coming up. See what came up around that full moon to let you know what you're closing out, what you're releasing, and transforming into new energy, right? So we're starting a whole new 6-month cycle with this new moon. Do what feels right for you around it? Whether you're watching it after the event, it doesn't invalidate the energies that are coming through for you and that are supporting you and holding you. So with this Venus retrograde, she's doing a revamp on how you value yourself, helping you get more independent, more confident in the way that you express your heart, the way that you bring in harmony and connection to your heart space. And at the time of this moon, Venus is a morning star. So this is happening a couple of days before the Venus cazimi with the sun. So when planets conjunct the sun, it's called a cazimi, and they essentially sort of get burnt up and transformed into a new form. It's the same with the moon. So the moon's doing that as well, of like wherever your needs not being met and how to transform that and how you tend to your own needs as well. Re-establishing a re-understanding of your intuition when it comes to your resources and what it is that you have, and being able to bring those into manifestation, starting a new cycle with that. Oh, getting tingling around the heart. Oh, okay, interesting. Leo does rule the heart. So Venus, as I said, she's a morning star now. So at the time of the cazimi, which is on Sunday, so a couple of days before this moon, which is on the Wednesday, this is when Venus moves from being an evening star, and that means she rises in the evening following the sun's departure. It's more looking to the past, more nourishing and finding context and nuances before taking action, more strategy based. There's a softness to an evening star, more yin night in nature. And now Venus has transformed into the morning star. So now she's rising in the morning before the sun. So she's ahead of the sun. So it's more forward looking. After it's still retrograde, so it's the midpoint of the retrograde. So we're still engaging in transformation. We're still revisiting and revising things, but we're more sort of looking to the future of how we're going to embody this. And I really like this energy right at the beginning of this new moon, that Venus is very powerful in her more morning star action based, more how are we implementing everything that we've learned energy. And retrograde planets are very independent. They like to question things. They look to the nuance, look to the depths of things. And so we've got this energy of the morning star of Venus imprinting into the moon and the sun of like, okay, let's get this in alignment with our exploration of self and the pleasure principle in the 3D world that is solely unique to your authenticity. So you're really, I'm just going to pause and hydrate because there's still the tickle there. So you're really starting afresh and leveling up how you value yourself. And as I said, that really does mean that everything else sort of flows from that, in terms of you truly appreciating and valuing the skills that you have in this current human incarnation. And because this is a sun-ruled sign, the sort of the energy really is being focused on here, and a lot of the other planets are all being guided by the sun. So wherever the ruler is impacting what's going on with the other signs. And so at the moment, only Mercury and Mars are being governed by Mercury. All the other planets are being governed by the sun. So there's a lot of potent energy coming through from the rest of your chart that is being affected by this revamp in how you value yourself. What else did I want to say? So very interestingly, that full moon that we had back in the 5th of February, the dates will be in the description box if you want to go check them out. We also had a square with Uranus. So one of the main aspects that this new moon is making is a square with Uranus. This is over in Taurus, a fellow fixed sign. And so you have Taurus. You have Taurus in your 11th house of hopes and dreams, friends, groups and alliances, and reaping the benefits from your 10th house. A square is an aspect of Mars. This is a 90-degree angle. So this. Try pushing your fingers together. This is when there can be conflict, frustration, drama, and winning at all costs. You know, it's the same modality. They're both fixed energy, so they can kind of think that they're both right. But the other side of it, if things do show up in that way, just be mindful of them. They can show up and teach us very valuable things that helping us see that which we may have missed, of what's triggered us. Well, you know, when do you want to start? When do you want to bring in conflict? When do you want to bring in drama? What's important to you? You can also be these situations when it's showing you that you're walking through them in a different way, and this helps integrate the work that you've already been doing. The other side of this is friction, right? I love squares. They're a hard aspect, so there is a sense of perhaps a few more steps that need to be taken in order to bring this into manifestation, but it is big manifestation energy, because without friction we wouldn't be able, right, so without friction we wouldn't have this linear 3D time frame construct reality that we're very consciously aware of, right? Without friction, atoms wouldn't move up against one another and wouldn't create time and space. And so we need that in order to manifest in this 3D reality. And what I love about this square with Uranus is really doubling down on the input that it put into that full moon in this new moon, of saying, no, we're still getting an alignment with you being confident being yourself, right? Uranus is the oddball of the universe. Its north pole points towards the sun, unlike any other planet. All its moons are retrograde. This makes it a very complex, nuanced energy that is thinking outside of the collective norms and breaking cycles, and that's a very independent energy, that in order for us to do that, like, we do need to be able to break out of social conditioning in order to break those cycles. And Uranus is very much about wanting you to be comfortable being yourself in this 3D experience without needing to conform in ways that don't serve you, right? Making you think, making you question. All its moons are retrograde, so it's constantly asking you on an intuitive level to break out of the norm and to question things, right? To get to the nuances, the depths, in order to come up with new ways of engaging in this 3D existence. And it's in Taurus and your hopes and your dreams. So you may have been striving to bring about new hopes and dreams that are perhaps out of the box and a bit more independent. And so Uranus is really providing a lot of support of helping you feel comfortable in your values and how you're able to manifest these hopes and dreams. Remember, this is seeding into the energy of the new moon. So this energy is having a big impact on the next 6 months, of being able to bring things into manifestation that are linked into your hopes and your dreams from your skills and your resources, as well as your understanding of yourself and the value that you have, being able to help think, dream differently and hope differently, bringing in a new dynamic in the way that you hope, right? That can be something that we struggle with at the moment, because the outside world is very loud and very proud in sort of trying to break that down, and it can be very hard to find hopes and dreams. And this is really asking you to tend to your heart space and open up that heart in order to bring in different dimensional frequencies to help you really reconnect to the fact that you are abundance, you are divine in this moment, and really allow yourself to feel that in your physical body. And so it's also friends, groups and alliances. So getting your value system in alignment with groups that you want to draw towards you, alliances that you want to be in, friends that you want to be a part of, that are more truly suited to your soul's frequency, and therefore your embodiment of your soul in this 3D experience. It's also manifesting, reaping the rewards from the 10th house, which is sort of life purpose and career, in this new understanding of your value system that's then going to draw towards you a recognition of what you do and the skills that you have. Okay, so that's one of the major aspects that's going on. We also have 2 asteroids hanging out in the sign of Leo. The first one is Lilith, Black Moon Lilith. She's conjunct the sun and the moon. And she, I really do recommend checking out the mythology around Lilith, right? So there's a lot going on there, but essentially in a nutshell, imagine being told you can't do a thing by a person who is doing the thing. And you ask, hey, how come you can do it and I can't? And they just say, because that's how it is. right? They don't give you a proper answer. They're very dismissive of your questioning. They're not treating you like an equal. They're not treating you with respect. They're just diminishing your existence, but based on their prejudices, their hierarchies, and their hypocrisy. Now, Lilith wants to have a conversation and wants to be able to engage respectfully and feel like they're an equal. And if she's not feeling that way, she's leaving. She's off. She's going to go and live her own life, her own free life, not under the burden of that responsibility, of that structure. So Lilith, very independent energy. So we've got Uranus, very independent energy, squaring this energy, and we've got Lilith conjunct it, of really saying we are instigating a very radical new independent way of existing from the heart space. Venus retrograde is doing that for us as well, right? She's really wanting to crack open the cycles and for you to feel good in your 3D world about how you value yourself. And so we've got this hugely independent energy flowing through us. And by independent, I'm not saying being rude, being selfish, being dismissive of other people's experience. We can hold space for love and truth and independence at the same time. And this is very much what the energy of this moon is all about. We also have Juno, which is another asteroid, and she represents commitment, your ride or die, right? This is, admittedly, in my mind, commitment is something we have to do every day, and because we are constantly in a state of flux and a state of momentum and movement. But there is an element of understanding what's important to you and committing to it despite the obstacles and being able to overcome them. It's not about committing to something that is actually not nourishing you and not supporting you because you feel like you have to. This is very much about, especially with that Lilith energy and the Venus retrograde, of saying, okay, no, now we are committing to this new revamp. How does your soul express love, right? And the soul signed up for this individual experience and for you to enjoy this individual experience in the 3D, right? So really getting an alignment with that. Lots of wands coming out for you, Cancer. So that's what's going on in Leo. The sun and the moon is also making aspects to the nodes. Now, I mentioned earlier, before the nodes were in Taurus and Scorpio, and this was squaring whatever was going on in Leo. And as I said, squares aspect of Mars can be a little bit like, whoa, okay, this is both complex, conflict-driven and also huge manifestation energy. Now we've got the South Node in Libra, which is sextiling the Leo energy, and the North Node in Aries, which is trining it. So let's go to the South Node. The South Node is in Libra. South Node is what we're purifying, we're getting really comfortable with and figuring out all the details and refining. There's a nodal transit series in its own playlist if you want to go check that out. And this is sextiling the sun and the moon. And so sextile is an aspect of Venus. She wants to bring in creativity, abundance, a sense of connection and harmony and appreciation, as well as very creative energy. So air and fire have something in common. They are both yang, day in nature, but they are different elements and they're different modalities. Libra is cardinal, Leo is fixed. And so they are bringing in this creative brainstorming, because you kind of understand how each other's works, but you're thinking at things from different perspectives. So the fact that this is sextiling that South Node, of this energy of the South Node in Libra, very much for me is about moving away from people pleasing. Yes, it's a wonderful thing to please others. That is part of the human condition. But everything, when we go into exaggerated versions of things, then we come out of balance, right? And so often we can forget ourselves in that process of people pleasing. It's not the only thing linked into Libra. It's also the social warrior, where it wants everyone to have a place at the table, and wants to bring things to light that may have been hidden. So a harmonizing of ideas, of sense of appreciation and value of ideas. And so we've got this lovely sextile of helping. This new moon is being fed by the wisdom and understanding of the South Node in Libra, of making sure that heart space and that reassessment of your value is in alignment with the shift and change of the dynamics that you're having in the Libra part of your chart, which for you is in your 4th house of roots and home, foundational space. So she's really revamping that and refining that in alignment with this new understanding of value that you're instigating for the next 6 months. We've also got the trine with the North Node. And that for you is over in your 10th house of your life purpose. And this very much can be your career, but it's that guiding force, that magnetic pull towards the North Star, the North Pole, and that thing that moves you through your life, right? And so the North Node is there helping bring you focus to that and helping you be able to embody that on a very personal place. And it's trining the sun and the moon, saying, okay, your resources are getting a big boost from this North Node in order to facilitate the next part of your cycle, whether that's leveling up your career, changing direction, finding a deeper understanding about what your life purpose is. All of these things can come up. And so we've got a very so many ones. We've got a lot of supportive energy. We've got a lot of supportive energy coming in for this new moon. It's really providing inspiration, right? So a trine, they've got two things in common. They're both fire signs and they're both yang day in nature. So there's an easy free-flowing energy shift here. So a transmutation of what's going on with the North Node, with the South Node, and with the sun and the moon. That this is providing elevation, wisdom, expansion, cohesion, a sense of knowing. That's the Jupiter side of the trine. And with that knowing, that wisdom, that's where we get our confidence. That's where the luck and the opportunities and the abundance come in, because we have an inherent sense of confidence in what it is that we're instigating at this time. We also, I'm trying not to do all the aspects because I have talked about them at length in the collective reading. We also have Vesta, that's another asteroid, which is making a sextile to the sun and the moon. And this is in your 12th house, your hidden house, your house of mysteries. She's in Gemini, right? And she represents devotion and sanctity and tending to the inner flame, the domestic space. And so wherever Vesta is, she's really giving a sense of honor and duty and dedication and tending to that space wherever she is. And that's your 12th house, your hidden house, your house of mysteries, right? This can be a house of anxiety and depression, loss and grief. It's underneath so it's the unconscious space. So it's the trauma responses and limiting beliefs that create these mental health issues. That underneath all of that, once we sort of peel that all back, we can get to the root of who we are. We can get to the magic, because it's also in a very magical house. And this is sextiling your values, right? So Vesta is helping work through trauma responses and limiting beliefs that may have blocked off your sense of value. And this is also igniting a fire of the magic that you have within you that feeds into this ability to make money in the world, to manifest in the world, and bring that whatever it is that you value towards you. Right. And that's a sextile, so it's very creative. It's bringing harmony, bringing a sense of appreciation and value for everything that you've been through in order to stop it with all the wands. Cancer, what's going on? Very fiery energy coming up for you. Leo didn't get this many wands, and Leo is a fire sign. Okay, so the other sort of major aspect that's happening on this day that is with Mars and Uranus. It's also linked into Mercury and an asteroid called Pallas Athena, which is about strategy. Mercury is going to be going into retrograde a week after this new moon, and so it's still in its shadow phase where lots of unconscious stuff is being transformed, and so Mars is very much they're all conjunct one another over in Virgo, which for you is in your 3rd house of communication, your local community, the things that you do on a day-to-day basis. And Mars is very, very independent, right? So Mars and Uranus are incredibly independent energy, and they're in trine with one another, along with the wisdom of Mercury in its own sign being very dominant right now. And so Mars is our motivation, our drive, our passion, and this is trining Uranus over in your hopes and your dreams, right? Both very independent. And so your ability to take action in your day to day, that is facilitating. So this is the energy that's seeded into this new moon. So taking action into your day to day to bring your hopes and dreams into manifestation, right? So this is strong independent energy that's feeding into Uranus, that then is feeding into the sun and the moon. So we're getting into alignment with our ability to embody this new sense of love and value from a very shut up, from a very independent space. Oh my goodness me. Look to where your sun is and your moon as well, but mostly firstly your sun, because the sun rules Leo, and it's the same sun in the sky as it was in your birth chart. And so wherever your sun is in your chart, the sign that it's in, the energy of that sign, and the themes of that house are going to be showing up in this new moon, right? So maybe go look and see how that makes it a bit more personal outside of this general reading. So they've put the deck down. So got 2 4s and 2 3s, and all nearly 1 2 3 4. Okay, we're missing 5 6 and 7, and yeah. 1 2 3 4 5 6. You got 6 ones. This is wild. Yeah, I do recommend the collective reading. The message was pretty loud and clear with that one. So I'm going to go quiet now because they're doing stuff with the cards. And when the energies move the cards around, this is why I've gone quiet. I have to soften my mind and let the energies do what they need to do. And I find it difficult in this present moment to channel, think and talk at the same time. So I'm going to go quiet because I've pretty much said everything that I was going to say. I mean, there's lots more. There's a trine with Chiron with Venus was helping us clear through wounds, and so that's in Aries, in your 10th house of your career. So that, and finding the wisdom and understanding of how to embody yourself in the 3D world, from your life purpose sense, Venus is helping with that, finding wisdom and a sense of luck coming through with that one. But I'm gonna go quiet because yeah. So you've had the Yang Day side of the reading, where you just had loads of information. The action day side of it. We need our rest and our night at the same time, the yin night side of it. So I'm going to go quiet. Let your mind settle. Don't try and overthink what all the information that's just come through. See what intuitive hits come up, that you may have been already working through with this balsamic moon, what you feel, what your intentions are. Sit with that energy. And then I'll come back around the other side when they will have done some energy work and put the cards into 3 piles. Did I mention the 3 piles? The first pile is, if I didn't, I do apologize. The first pile is how this energy from, I think I did, from the full moon to now is being culminating. The second pile is the moon, the energy of the moon itself, and then the third part is how is this energy manifesting moving forward. So I'm going to come back round again and I'll start talking when they finish doing what they need to do, yeah. Okay, so for the energy leading up to this new moon, we've got the Devil card, and then we've got the Nine of Wands crossed with the Two of Wands. So the Devil is traditionally linked into things that have authority over you, that aren't necessarily facilitating your growth. I mean, it's linked into addiction, it's linked into trauma, and just a difficult earth energy that we're working with. And that's not the only way that I read it, but because it's coming with the Nine of Wands, definitely feel like it's more linked into that side of the Devil energy. It's a very powerful energy. It's Capricorn, and so Capricorn's over in your 7th house, so this could be linked into working through relationship dynamics that have impacted the way that you value yourself. So we've got this with the Nine of Wands, and this is very battle weary, exhausted, right? So constantly having to defend yourself, and defend what it is that you're doing, and how you're manifesting in the world, right? So with this card, I always say, do you need to be in that defense mode, right? It's quite a stagnant energy. It's very strong energy, very resilient, but there is that element of like it's like a cage, isn't it? It's like a barrier, rather than allowing that energy to move through and flow through you. It's kind of like, I'm committed to always being on the defense mode, right? And that could be coming from trauma and limiting beliefs from our early years, as well as ancestral stuff and past life stuff, that it's just felt like you being able to manifest in the world has been quite difficult, or at least there's been things blocking it, that you feel like there isn't that sense of flow and harmony that we get later on with the Three of Cups, of appreciation and value. This could also be you being in conflict with yourself and how you value yourself. Like there's a wall up around you being able to see yourself properly. And we've got this with the Two of Wands, and the Two of Wands is like high long-term manifestation energy, because it's not about starting a new journey yet, right? So this is everything that you've been integrating. If you think about that Saturn energy, that perhaps Saturn in Aquarius, of sort of having a hold over you and you feeling like your resources are depleted, being in the 8th house, that give and take between you and the outside world, or you in relationships, there may have been some isolation and some drama where you feel like you're just on your own. For some of you, that could very much be an energy, whether you're conscious of it or not. That Saturn opposition in Aquarius in its own sign can be very intense energy. And over the last 6 months, this Two of Wands, this is about getting the lay of the land, right? So being mindful, being in a state of observation, cultivating the skills that you do have, working on really trying to establish this sense of command, this sense of confidence in yourself. They've got the world in their hand and they're standing on top of a castle. It's this slow beginning and journey of like recouping and reassessing where you're at now, having gone through that difficult time and what you've learned from it, right? And then being able to slowly bring this into fruition. But this is about before starting this new journey. This is acknowledging that sometimes we do need to prepare, we do need to integrate, we do need to start embodying everything that we've been working through and letting go of and transmuting in that previous part of the cycle. We have a very different energy for the new moon itself, right? So we've got 2 4s and an 8. So 4 plus 4 equals 8. And the first 4 is, this is so far away from feeling like that Nine of Wands where you are all alone and in conflict land, right? This energy that's coming in is saying you are held by something bigger than you, because this person is allowed to rest in a church, right? So that sense, it doesn't just have to be a church, it can be anything that's like a higher power. It's just the way it's represented on this card, right? And there's this 3 of Swords of sort of being able to find peace with all the difficulties that have come before. Again, that Capricorn energy is in your 7th house of one-to-one relationships. So that is business partners, that is one-to-one clients, that is intimate friends, as well as long-term committed relationships. That there may have been response mechanisms built up over time that have been based off of experiences, and that heartache that we have when we feel diminished in any way, we then sort of turn to addictions with the devil card, right? So this is the moon is saying you are allowed, the energy that's coming in for this new moon is holding you, essentially, like allowing you to be at a state of peace in order to find the truth within. Right, so often heartache, that Three of Swords, can block the way that we value ourselves, block our understanding of what it is that we have to offer, especially if you felt like you've been you've just been attacked for what it is that you're doing, like however that manifests for you. We've got this with the Four of Wands and the Eight of Wands. So the Eight of Wands is one of the fastest moving cards in the deck, and this is sort of saying that with this sense of serenity that's coming in, we are moving past, we're moving into a different cycle, we're moving into a different journey. Things are gonna sort of go quite quickly, or at least this understanding within yourself of how you value yourself is going to be a very quick process. And we've got it with the Four of Wands, which is about commitment, right? This is about dedication. This is about putting in the hard work in order to celebrate at the end of it. This is linked into the harvest, right? So the harvest takes around a year, prepping the land, planting the seeds, letting them grow, tending to them, picking the harvest, prepping the land again. But this is about the bringing in of the harvest, is then everybody's celebrating and having a feast and enjoying the work that they've done and what they've been doing. So it's really acknowledging that of you getting the lay of the land, you putting in that work, and there's a time of celebration, right? It's also saying that through this energy coming in of being held and feeling safe and held by the universe, that there's a real shift and change for you, moving from that, which is also kind of like a bit of a stagnant energy, right? It's a very stagnant's too strong of a word for that one, but it's an energy of rest to an energy of movement and momentum, and not only that, but celebration. So an acknowledgement of your skills, an acknowledgement of your value, an acknowledgement of your resources and what it is that you value, and being able to celebrate that. So I love that that's the energy coming in. It could be that for some of you, like if we look at it quite literally in terms of the day of the moon, of you feeling very safe and very secure in yourself, and you're going out to a party, right? that could definitely be a thing. For the energy of this manifesting, moving forward, got the Ten of Wands in reverse, right? So this is feeling like you're burdened and the workload is so heavy. The way in which you manifest the resources that you have just been like grueling and heavy. Like, work's not a bad thing, work's a wonderful thing, but work's not great when you're spine is completely hunched over. You can't even look up. You have no clarity. You can't even see that it's a beautiful day, right? That is not the best way of working through the world. And this is coming up in reverse, saying this instigation, this shift of energy that's coming through is really opening up you being able to tackle whatever it is that you need to tackle without feeling exhausted, without feeling like you're hunched over and you're overburdened. The burden is now light. Right, that work is now light. Responsibilities that may have blocked you from really being able to spend time and realize, okay, no, what I'm doing is actually really great. Because don't worry, you're getting to the end of the castle, right? You're getting to the end of the road. You did what you needed to do, and that this is really coming through and saying, this oppression that you've got here, which can be linked into these two energies of feeling like exhausted, and there's an authority on you that hasn't been able to set you free and hasn't able to you to be able to celebrate, that this is coming through and saying we're transmuting this energy. This is being lifted. We have finally, we've got 2 3s. So Three of Wands, Three of Cups. This is following that 2, which I love. So this is acknowledging that you're now starting this new journey, right? You're now, after everything that you've gone on, you're able to instigate a new journey from a space of dominion, from a space of command, right? This figure is on top of a cliff. They're wearing very regal clothing. They are protected. There's some armor here. Green of the heart space, courage. And we've got the ships. They're going out on their journey, which is saying you're starting a new journey in the way that you value yourself. You're starting a new journey in understanding your skills and your resources and how to bring these into manifestation, because this is like the mini emperor. So very confident, very secure in what you're doing and where you're headed. this figure is not bent over. This figure is not overburdened. This figure is very much in command of the actions that they're taking in order to bring in the boon and the benefit to help support you with this harmony, right? So this isn't, this, as I said, far cry from this card of feeling like in conflict mode and feeling like you're all alone. This is a harmony of like-minded people. You're all you're being celebrated. You're in a state of flow, right? So this can be the skills that you have in a state of flow with one another to create new journeys of bringing in resources, of being able to be confident and safe and expressive in the way that you understand your 3D experience and understand your value as well, confidence and harmony, right? So really being able to see what it is that you're able to bring into your own existence from a deep space of emotional contentment and ease and joy with these cards. 3 is the magic number. I love this. I love this, Cancer. A lot of fire. A lot of fire. Right, I'm going to pull some clarification cards. That's a real shift of energy that's coming in, and I like this. Especially your hopes and your dreams, like establishing what you need to establish. Perhaps there's something that you're celebrating that you've been working on that sort of you're feeling good about now, and then being able to really instigate a new journey in those hopes and dreams moving forward, as well as finding harmony with groups and alliances. So like that all coming in together of like the skills that you have being recognized by groups and alliances. Cool. Right, this is the numerology deck. All the decks are in the description box if any of them take your fancy. Let's see what wants to come through for Cancer. So I just felt like the energies needed to do something. There was something going on. Okay, let's do the other deck. This is the First Light Tarot. This is a mixture of oh, there we go. Haha. Wow. This is Major Arcana question cards, statement cards, and keyword cards. The Magician, performer, creativity, illusion, power. Okay, so really knowing the Magician is all about being in flow with all the resources you have within you in order to create in this world. So I love that this is coming up. We've got this Mercury retrograde because Mercury is the ruler. This is Mercury's card. Mercury is the ruler of Virgo, and Gemini, where Vesta is, of like really allowing you to understand what's at the root of you, your soul energy that feeds into your skills in your 12th house of the second house. So being helping bring in the energy that you know you have everything that you need within you, and in order to create in this world, and really finding the authenticity and the power and the magnetism of the confidence of that within you, that heart space, that sun space in your heart. Operating from a heart space is a very key thing to do, with having it in your second house and making sure you're in alignment with that. Otherwise it can get a little bit burnt out if you don't allow that sun to shine within you and not seek it validation from the outside world, right? Obviously that's a lovely thing, we feel really good with that, but make sure you're not prioritizing that over really looking to yourself with like being real with yourself and being empathetic with what's going on. But you know, it's about you know, that combination is full of love, and really being able to then be in harmony with every single part of you in order to bring that power of your soul into fruition. Okay, this deck's really not wanting to... Let's see what wants to come out for Cancer. Yeah, well, Cancer, you're ruled by the moon. And so the moon is being governed by the sun at the moment, so that I can see why there's a lot of fire coming up, that this is really transforming how you embody yourself as well, because whatever's going on with the moon is impacting your first house. So lunations have a big effect on you. And so, yeah, I'm not surprised we've got a lot of fire here, but I do like the fact that we've ended with water as well, with that Three of Cups, of really finding emotional ease with this transformation. We've got the Environment card. And sort of bringing in a new environment in the way that you understand yourself, finding more love in your environment. I would really recommend cultivating that. I mean, I'd recommend that for everybody, but in cultivating the inner environment of how you appreciate yourself and how you love yourself, and really being, just, you are your own beloved, Cancer. My hand's just gone over my heart chakra. Right, I'm going to leave it at that. I hope you enjoyed this reading. There's lots of things that you can do to help the channel. It is a growing channel, so all interaction really sends the YouTube algorithm out in the world. Likes, comments, subscribing, hello new viewers, very much appreciated. On a personal note, I love to hear from you. If you want to tell me about what's going on in the astro weather and how this is showing up for you, I love to know, and I will get back to you. It's one of my favorite things. Be good to yourselves, Cancer. Be good to those around you, and most importantly, be well until we meet again.